The METUS Tech Show. Welcome to the METUS Tech Show, a show for HVAC professionals by HVAC professionals. The METUS Tech Show.
Mitsubishi.
Alright, at my shop we have 3 German Shepherd Husky mixes, 2 puppies, 1 2-year-old, and then at my house I got the brothers to the puppies at the shop. Me and Melissa went to Connecticut to get them. So they're not even 3 months, 4 months.
How do people do with the dogs when they come into the office?
They find the puppies very adorable, and then Drax is the 2-year-old. He's very large, and his growl and bark is very deep. So they're very terrified when they hear him, or like when he charges at them, and they think he's gonna attack, but he doesn't attack. He just barks, and it's very scary for them. We had a truck driver last week, and Drax scared him so bad.
Sounds cool. All right, Kelsey, tell me a little bit about your animals.
So I've got a very preppy French bulldog named Hamilton. He hates the snow and the rain. He thinks he owns our house and everything in it. And he's adorable. That's about it. He's Instagram famous. It's my child. The only thing I have.
How cool is that? Instagram famous.
I'm just kidding. I think it's the only thing I post. That's why.
He could be. He could be.
He could be. If I know he doesn't have his own Instagram, but if I made one, I'm sure no one would be surprised.
He could be.
Cool. Okay, so Cray, how about telling us about your animals?
Yeah, we have Marvin. He's a awesome black and white tuxedo cat. And he sits next to Brandy in his bed while she's typing up all the contracts. And I think at times he looks over at the screen and gives a wink, letting us know, you'll get that contract. Yeah. We call him Magic Marv. He's awesome.
Pretty
That's
cool. Cute. Yeah, really cute. Also a kind of nice calming influence, right?
There we go.
When everything goes crazy in the office, it's good to have that nice pet to calm everyone down.
Yes.
Excellent. Alrighty, so welcome to a special episode of the METUS Tech Show, and thank you very much for joining us here today. I'll start off by telling you the last time I had a meeting about the HVAC industry with all women was, well, never in my lifetime. This is a first, so it's great to have you here today, and I'm really looking forward to discussing your experiences relating to working in our industry. My name is Patty Gillette. I work for Mitsubishi Electric as the Director of Field Marketing, and I've been in HVAC for over 20 years. Let's start off with each of you telling us your name, the name of your company, what you do for your company, and how long you've worked in the industry. And Kelsey, we'll start with you.
Hi, my name is Kelsey. I work for ARC Mechanical out of Wilmington, Massachusetts. They are a Boston company. I'm a service technician. I've worked in the commercial side of this business probably 8 to 9 years. I did a few years of residential before that, and I did a trade high school before that. Range of equipment that I work on is really from anything. It could be from anything, a ductless split, all the way to a chiller. Getting into this business, obviously, I did not think was a lifetime choice, but so far, loving it. Didn't quit, over a decade, so.
That's great, Kelsey. All right, Cray, how about telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Cree. I'm the owner of Boston Ductless Systems. I've had the company now for almost 5 years now. And I do sales and service and install. And what I really love mostly about what I do right now is that I'm actually contributing to the carbon footprint of the planet. So I'm really loving that we're doing that, and we love all the equipment and working with it, and learning all the new stuff and the new condensers that come out, and it's always something changing and something different in this industry.
So the statistics tell us that only about 7% of HVAC company owners in the U.S. are women. The fact that you're part of that 7% says a lot about your skills and work ethic. I'm betting you have lots of interesting stories about how you've achieved this goal, and hopefully we can get into that. And Kelsey, even more interesting statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics indicate that only 2% of all HVAC technicians are women. So you are really part of an elite crowd, and it's very impressive that you're in this industry. So finally, we're going to have Bailey tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Bailey. I'm a co-op student at Leominster High. I work at J. Moody. It's out of Leominster. And I do service. I've been at J. Moody for a little under a year.
Excellent. I understand from your instructors that you have been an outstanding student. And as you mentioned, you already have a job lined up with J. Moody when you graduate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for being here today. Alrighty, so next I'd like to understand how each of you ended up in the HVAC industry. And we'll start with you again, Bailey.
Okay.
What can you tell us?
Yeah, I did the exploratory program that my school had as a freshman. And I went through 12 to 13 trades. And I ended up liking HVAC the most for the fact that it was very hands-on, and I felt like that was what I could do. Like, I felt like it was something I was able to do successfully, and I didn't really fit in most parts of, like, the academic part of school. So being able to do that in a trade, I found very intriguing. So I decided to join, and ever since then, I've liked everything that has came with it.
We are lucky to have you joining the industry. That's really great. Okay, Kelsey, how about you? Can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up in HVAC?
Just like Bailey, I went to Shawshing Tech out of Burica. I definitely knew very early on that I was not going to be in a typical girls' shop. Cosmetology, health was right from the bat. I knew I wasn't going to make it. It was going to be a construction hallway. As we went through all of them, it was kind of like a mix of all the trades. You know, you had a pipe in your system. You had to. You're only in there for a week, so you're limited to what you're getting introduced to. So you had to wire it, you had to pipe it. It kind of put you in a really good spot of knowing all of it, but, not being an electrician, not being a plumber, like not being just limited to that. So I ended up getting into that shop. I originally thought that I would, typical Irish girl, thought I'd be married. Thought I would have, a bunch of babies pop out, and I figured I could just do my own projects at home. The only thing I'd have to pick up is carpentry or something of the sort. Approaching 30, not married, no kids, and still doing HVAC. So it ended up working out well. It's definitely a job that fits me better than most, I would say. I cannot sit in front of a computer. Like I said, I cannot make it any blood. I'll pass out. And I like the problem solving. I like the electrical end of it. I like the piping end of it. I'm definitely more of a service tech than an installer. It keeps you on your feet. It makes you think. Some days you hate that. Some days you love it. But yeah, it's done me really well. I mean, I don't think I could do anything else. So
Kelsey, what started up as a backup plan has really turned into kind of your life day to day that you really enjoy, which is really super.
Yeah, now so invested into it, you just can't turn back.
Excellent. Also, I'd like to talk to Brandy and ask you a little bit about yourself, Brandy, how long you've been in the industry where you work. Tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, so 2021 is when I came onto the scene. I have the transition of the pandemic to thank for that, but it's been the best transition that I've ever gone into. So helping out behind the scenes and doing the business management with Boston Ductless Systems has just been a learning and growing opportunity for me, as well as the reward of seeing the growth and the return with the company.
Excellent. And Craig, how did you end up in the HVAC industry?
I've actually started off as an electrician. So I've been an electrician for almost 20 years. And I started wiring these condensers for other HVAC contractors. And I started taking great interest in wanting to learn more on how to install them. And I installed my own system in my own home first. It started like that, and educated myself, took some classes and courses, and just nonstop, day and night, educating myself on YouTube, on wherever I could. And here I am, 5 years into installing ductless, and I absolutely love it.
That's such a great story. And so many of our technicians and business owners have Mitsubishi systems in their own homes, and that really does kind of create a great understanding of how the product works, and you can relate to consumers way better. I thought it would be interesting to talk about some of the challenges you've faced while working in our industry, and specifically if there are any challenges you've been up against because you're a woman in this industry. So why don't we start off with Bailey on that one?
Okay. I definitely have two big ones that I think are challenges that I face every day when I go to work. It's one, strength, as just being a woman. We're not as strong as men. So it's very hard to lift, like, you're on your own, and, like, you got to figure out your own way and be independent to lift the heavy things. When you can't, it's that's a challenge. And then another challenge is staying motivated to stay in the trade. There have been many times where I've been like, I don't think I belong, like, here. I shouldn't be here. And I just push myself to go to work every day. And I realize why I keep going to work, because I just love it more and more every day as I go, even though I don't want to. You just push yourself to go.
Showing up is really half the battle a lot of the time. That's
Right.
really super. And when it comes to strength, is there any equipment that you can use in the field that makes dealing with heavy installations or anything else easier?
I can definitely say that there are some tools that you could use out there if you're, like, on your own and, like, you can't lift it. There are definitely some things that could help you. Most of the times I'm with someone else, so they help me if I can't do it by myself. But most of the time I try to get my strength up there to be able to do it by myself. But most of the time it's another coworker helping you lift the things that you can't.
Perfect. Kelsey, I'm going to ask you the same question because you are right in the field as well. What's your experience?
I'm gonna follow up with Bailey on what she said with the strength. I think that most of that's in our own heads too, just when it comes to thinking that we can't do it because of being a woman in the field. There's plenty of my coworkers that are a lot smaller and weaker than I am, but we take it extra hard when we can't do it.
Yeah.
And same thing, having the knowledge of what equipment you can use to help you during those, whether it's a cheater bar or a pipe wrench. They make wonderful equipment such as genie lifts that you can use, easy to operate, bring them up. That stuff is, that's definitely something we beat ourselves up more than anyone else. But you always get someone who loves to point it out. So that I can agree with a lot. I think other challenges in the trade, the motivation, I'll follow up with that too. That falls in the same branch of being like, is this going to be the right fit? And then I get into these tiffles here and there where I'm like, wow, I really wish I wore makeup every day and mascara, but I can't do that when I'm on a roof and it's melting off my face. So, I've tried the eyelash extensions and then they're blowing in the wind, hitting my safety glasses like that. That doesn't help either. So, every time all your friends are like, oh, let's go out and get Friday drinks. I'm like, oh, hold on. I got to shower out ceiling dust for my hair. And those are definitely challenges that girls come across in this that we don't love so much. What other challenges do you have? Just the regular trade challenges. Being on the troubleshooting end of it, you get to equipment that it's such a wide trade. You have boilers, you have ductless, you have VRF, you have chillers. You've got a lot of things that you need to learn, and they range in a lot of different areas. So trying to make yourself a professional in every single one of them is not really going to happen. Personally, for me, boilers are not my strongest point.
Me neither.
I can get to a point where I can figure out the call. If you want me to be, an expert on those, I'm going to pass them off to someone who's an expert on those. So everyone finds their own niche. In one part of this trade, they fall. There's a lot of doors. But same thing. You can start beating yourself up when you get to one that's not your niche. Besides that, being a woman in the industry, we talked about strengths, motivation, the industry itself. If you can keep a calm mannerism for people who don't appreciate it, that's always a learning curve too. You're going to run across someone that you don't like, and you want to prove it to them. But usually in the end of it, they don't know much either about the trade, and they're just annoyed that you know more. So learned that a lot.
Excellent, thank you. And Cray, how about you? What are the challenges that you face as a woman in HVAC?
She's like, where do I begin?
I run circles around these guys.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
I just do. And I'll be honest with you, they can't keep up with me.
That's how it should be. That is how it should be.
Yeah.
And the expectation is lower. So when you run circles, it's even better, right? It's even better.
It's not something that I'm trying to do. I think it's just that it's just a natural ability that I have. And I'm very quick. I'm very efficient. And it sets the pace for the staff, I think. You know, they see me, we're in one area and they're doing something. They're turned the corner and I did 4 or 5 things and they're like, what? You just finished that? I'm like, yeah, just finished it. I don't really, I try to do my best to use my body weight intelligently so that I don't hurt myself. I'm almost 50, so I need to be careful. The guys are really sweet that I work with. When I need help, I'm like, come on, muscles. Let's go. So, and I treat everyone with love and respect, and everyone is just happy to be there, it seems like it. Sometimes you get some grouchy guys, and they can be have a little bit of an attitude.
That morning, just woken up, like you don't want to be there kind of thing.
Yeah, and sometimes at the end of the day, but I feel very blessed. I feel very grateful that things always seem to work out really well for me.
I love that line, you treat everyone with love and respect. It shows, and people respond in kind when you act like that.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't really work when I come at them aggressively, or it just doesn't. So, I come at them with kindness, firm kindness, because I also don't want to be taken advantage of. So
That's actually a good thing to bring up. People do take advantage about being a kind girl in the field. That's actually a really good topic.
It's actually kind of scary, for like younger girls, even like older women. Like it's kind of scary if you don't know like what you're getting into.
They know you won't say no to the call on Friday. They know that you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can come help you. That's a really good topic, actually.
Well, you have to be firm. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It's huge.
I think a strong mindset as a woman in the trade is the most important thing you can have or like should have, because you'll get really bad if you don't. Like not like bad, but like I don't know how to explain it.
Burnt out.
Well, yeah.
Burnt out.
Yeah.
You also need to set good boundaries with people.
That
right?
too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Brandy, you have a different perspective. So you're in the back office, you're doing all of the work, you're setting up appointments, I'm guessing, following up with customers. What's your experience with the big challenges for you in our industry?
I would just say that, working together, showing up with intention to work together cohesively, bringing balance, bringing the flow, and really, whether it's the customer service end or it's the back end where, it's the invoicing and the prep or the follow-ups, things like that. But, I've just observed even things when I've had to step in regards to like supply runs and, meeting the guys on the crew and just being able to see opportunities, the challenges, but then also behind every challenge is the opportunity to really, either A, use discernment or B, just show up and just be confident within the position in the space of, interacting with, a whole crew of guys, because that is something that is new for me, now that I'm in this industry. I managed and ran teams of, that were very different before. And so being around that and just, but also, it's a learning for both, as women being in the field and it being more of a new integrative position for us all to kind of pioneer and be the forerunners of, but then also for, the men to learn and bring balance together within the environment and the atmosphere. So
That's excellent. Thank you. Alrighty, so the next question is hopefully a fun one. I'll start with you, Kelsey. What do you like most about working in the HVAC industry?
What I like most? I like the fact that any kind of conversation towards mechanics, whether it's HVAC or cars or whatever it may be, you have a lot more understanding to it. And, there's a bunch of benefits to even being in the trade of like, if I really wanted to, I could fix my own dryer. I could fix my own washing machine. Most times I don't, but but I could. Most times I'm like, I'll just go buy a new one. But yeah, I mean, it's nice having the respect end of it when you do talk to people in the trades, and then you also, it's a great networking career. You meet a lot of interesting people. You meet a lot of talented people too. And it's something that keeps your brain going a lot. It's not like you're just entering in data every day at the screen over and over again. Like your brain is constantly getting smarter. You are constantly, you never really go backwards in the trade. You really just keep getting better and better. And it's just something that you can always use in life skills. And even if you didn't want to stay into HVAC, I think a lot of the skills that you get from it can be applied anywhere else too, for other jobs that are great. It's a good career. Like it's definitely, I'm lacking the vocabulary I want to use for it, but you understand what I'm saying. It's very self-building.
It's excellent. And I love what you said at the very beginning. What you've learned is that you are confident in your competency. So you can fix things. Yeah. You've got those skills now. You don't look at something and go, I'm never going to be able to do that. You can do it, which is great. I'm going to ask Bailey the same question because we talked a little bit earlier about you. You're in a co-op job now, and how you started in installations and moved into service. Yeah. And what you liked about that. So maybe you can talk about that a little.
Yeah. So when I came to my company, I started on install, and I did that I started in May. So then I came towards the summer. So I did a lot of install, and then it just kept getting repetitive after a while because you're just installing the same units, just different houses, same units. And I was like, that's not what I want to do. So I started going on service calls with the servicemen. And eventually I was like, I like this more because it was more hands-on, more troubleshooting. And when you figured it out and when I learned how you figure it out, I felt good about it. I felt that as a woman, I felt good that I was the one that was figuring it out and they let me figure it out. I felt very good on myself. So eventually I permanently switched to service and I've been there since and I don't regret it one bit. I love service.
Sounds like you like all that problem solving.
Yeah, I like how it works your brain more than installing because there's so many things it could be. There's so many situations you could run into. You never know, and you're just going to different locations every single day, and it's just changes all the time, and I like that.
That's great. So Cray and Brandy, both of you, how about what do you like most about working in the HVAC industry? You're both pretty new to it. 5 years for you, Cray, and Brandy, 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love all of it. I do. I don't really know what to say about this. It's a good question. I love all the challenges that, the different installs pose, from designing something to the install to we've done some really, really complicated installs. And we've done a very, very nice job doing it. And everything is, I feel like I love doing the ductless. I love everything about it.
So it's great to hear you say that. And it's so cool to think that you look at these challenging jobs that you've done well as like a portfolio of accomplishments that you can keep in your head. We're good at this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's super. That's super. Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree, and I think I love the rewarding aspects of in the wintertime, it's the heat, and in the summertime, it's the relief of cooling down from the hot summer days. And I think that's one thing, going into even some of the historical homes and things like that, where they've had alternate ways and sometimes don't even have any other, this is new for them. This is a totally new experience for them to actually have consistent heat and consistent air conditioning, zoning and the different areas of their home. And I love seeing the homeowners at the end of each project and job completed.
Yeah, and how happy they are.
Yeah.
So, they're so happy to
Yeah,
have
that's definitely a thing. Like the satisfaction that
Yeah.
the customers have at the end of the install, that's the greatest thing you could have.
it is.
So I love hearing from anyone in the field, your techs, people are so happy when you come out there and help them get more comfortable.
They're happy after you leave.
After you leave.
After you leave.
What's the process
not
leading up
happy
to
at
that?
first.
They could be a little, yeah. So
There's a lot of people you
Brandy,
get there, they're not happy until it's running.
Yeah.
and it's
agree
great
with
to
that.
hear Brandy say that because you are dealing with people when they are not happy. They're calling you because they're cold or hot.
Yeah.
So you still find satisfaction in being able to solve their problems, that's a great reward.
And sometimes even dealing, I guess, to answer the first, about challenges, like, you get a lot of different personality types, and some are a little more, worked up and wanting to micromanage or be in the midst of, what they think is best, and
It's always
so it's a learning. Like I said, it's a learning opportunity for everyone, and we enjoy. I watch Cree, on the field, and then when I have to ask questions and work with people over the phone and our clients and customers over the phone. It's just more of like, okay, take a breath. We'll get the invoicing worked out, or we'll get, we'll get this figured out with you. Just so. But it's a learning, because I think that's one thing, especially with heating and cooling industry, is sometimes customers have gone days, and sometimes they don't have their total issue resolved. And we've seen even where we come in after the fact, they've already spent money hoping that the problem would be resolved or whatever the thing is there. And so it's even more kind of built up. And, we get to work through that with them and just stay consistent with what we know and what we can provide. And I'm grateful to Cree and her expertise and, and the things that she shows up with, because it makes my job a lot easier. It's great to work for. And I would just say, I think that's one of the biggest things that in choosing to make this jump into the industry, was just the confidence of knowing, like, the history, the experience, the skills, watching how she has ran her companies, working with our customers, and just being a team. That was the fact that we are two women working together in the field. It was, even though we manage the crew of guys as well, but it's just adds a whole nother layer of trust and confidence that we work together with.
Yeah, we have more staff coming too.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting, and that brings me to another question. Like, several things. What do your friends and families, what do people say when you tell them you work in the HVAC industry? Are they surprised that you're women in this industry? What do they say?
No, because I've been in the trades for 20 years, so my family knows what I do. But no, they want to know how much. How much is it going to cost me to put a system in now?
For sure.
Yeah.
And then how about for our folks who are in the field, Kelsey and Bailey, when you show up, what are either consumer or building owner, what do they say to you? Do they treat you differently because you're women, or is it pretty much the same old?
That really goes for any job too. You're going to run into someone who loves to give anyone a hard time, girl, male. There's definitely been times I've taken calls at, really big commercial buildings, 40 stories high, and showing up, 4 or 5 years ago, bleach blonde hair, fake eyelashes. They're like, can you send Barbie home? They don't want to see it, but most times it's never really been a problem. Or you get every now and then you get the call on the phone. You're like, hi, this is Kelsey from so-and-so. I'm here to take a look at your HVAC system, whether you have heat or cooling. And they're like, we want a technician. And I'm like, it's me. I am the technician. But most times it works out really just fine. Friends and family-wise, for my family, it's a little different. I have 2 sisters that are electricians. Actually, my other sister just got her master's electrician's license. They both do phenomenal in the trades. I think a lot of my cousins are more going to be entrepreneurs, and a lot of lawyers in our family. but we seem to be like the blue collar family. They do sometimes wonder what happened in our household. But yeah, it's worked out well for all of us.
That's awesome. Well, so again, Bureau of Labor Statistics say that our industry is expected to add over 20,000 jobs between now and 2031. So there's so many great opportunities. And with so few women in the industry, this is a great place for women to look for jobs. So that's super to hear. Okay, so specific to that, do you have any advice or reasons you might give to other women for coming into the HVAC industry? What would you tell them that would be a great reason to join a career in our industry?
I would say get the knowledge under your belt, because knowledge is power. And when you know what you're talking about, people have a great respect for you. And
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super. And I always tell people HVAC is here to stay. People have homes. They're going to need heating and air conditioning. You're pretty much recession proof. Doesn't matter what's going on in the economy. So that's another great reason to work in our field. Anything else? Anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
I would just say, with what you just said, I came from the event. I was an event planner. So I've been an artist and an event planner, and even though I did business management, that was something that I did experience in a very difficult way, with the pandemic. And that was one of the main reasons that catapulted me into an opportunity to see something like this and jump into it. And the other thing I would just encourage women, especially with the design and the aesthetics. I'm a design girl. I love artsy design and everything. And one thing that really, I guess, jumped out to me right from the beginning is seeing just the difference. It's just different. It doesn't mean it's right, wrong, or better, but it's just different. Like Cree and the way she designs and the aesthetics of how the mini splits are positioned and looked, and the outside and the line sets and where they run on the houses. We've compared. You go out and you see all this different style of works with, what can be done. And, it's important because, when you end up being a homeowner and then you're like, well, who thought to do this? And you're like, why is this here? It's important. And that's the balance and the power that I do believe that women have a position and a gifting in. So
Yeah.
That's great.
We pay attention to detail.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like as an apprentice, I'm always like the one cleaning up, and always like the one like, that's not straight. Like I'm always the one to just point those things out, because it's like you just see it. Like it doesn't look pretty in your eyes and you just want it to.
That's like, there's a few sayings with that too, the customer has no idea if that thing's running right, but like, oh, you dusted that off? And they're like, that's definitely always a joke in the trade. And then I've got a coworker who always says, when you see, he always says like, no one really ever appreciates HVAC unless you're in the trade. And when they look at it, when you walk into a building and the carpentry is insane or the tile is insane, everyone's like, wow, oh my goodness, this looks so great. The difference between a tradesman and a craftsman. But unless you're in this trade, and unless it's on your own house too, and you're like, wow, that person did a terrible job piping, like you wouldn't pick up it as much. But if you're in this trade and you walk into, I'm assuming like one of their jobs, you're like, wow, that is perfectly straight, that is perfectly level. They that's something of an appreciation too, if you like design and whatnot. Yeah.
So really interesting. And Bailey, when it comes to kids in technical school, what would you say to convince them that this is a great industry to work in?
I would say for kids in general, I would say the knowledge. Like there's endless amounts of knowledge that you can know. And it is so beneficial for anyone and everyone to know these things, because it doesn't impact, like not only does it impact everyone else's homes and everyone else's lives, but it impacts your own. Like as a woman, I have many splits in my house, and my mom's always like, oh, we need that clean, or oh, we need my boiler needs to be clean. I'm like, I can do it. That it feels good knowing that you can do that stuff by yourself, and you don't have to spend loads of money paying for someone else to do it, because you can do it yourself. Like you just save a lot of time and money, and you also mature growing up knowing that you can do those things. Like you start doing those things by yourself, knowing you can do that.
It's awesome, as Cray said, knowledge is power.
Right.
Yes, it is.
For women, I just think you could I do it just to prove that I can do something any man can do. Like, I like to prove that I can do it just as well as they can.
Better.
If better, yeah.
That's cool.
The other thing about this trade, too, if you want to talk about just trades in general, HVAC is one of the top paying trades in the country. It's, if you're going to go into any kind of construction route, it pays probably, I don't know if it's the first. I mean, I think us and electricians and elevator mechanics are all right in the same range, but
Yeah,
HVAC pays really good money if you are a hands-on person. That's an also really good reason to come into the trade.
The money.
If you're going to be outside freezing and working, I'd rather be paying top dollar for it than not.
It's a huge selling point.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, for sure. All right. Of course, I have to ask, what do you think about the potential for Mitsubishi Electric products in the HVAC industry? And do consumers understand them and like them? So I'll start with Kelsey. Go ahead.
Consumers understand them. I think the product itself is going to explode just based off of how the world is now. We want to have, as Cree said earlier, no carbon footprint. As for Mitsubishi, I think it's the leading VRF program or ductless split program. You can't be the tech support. You call it tech support. There's a crew of them down there. They answer the phone. They walk you through every bit of it. For consumers, user-friendly. People love them. I think they're more reliable. What else can you say about it? They definitely seem to be more efficient than all the other brands. There's a reason that, Mass Save and everyone else is pushing for these. I'd put that as that.
That's great. And I'm going to ask Craig next because you talked about the importance of reducing carbon footprint. So how does this product appeal to the customers you deal with? And what do you think the big benefits are?
What's interesting is that, like, all the customers that we deal with, people are really doing their homework. And I always direct them to the Mitsubishi website so they can check it out and check out the different designs, even though we have stuff on our website too. There's so much information on Mitsubishi's website. It seems like they sometimes know more than we do.
That's great.
Hey, did you know that this can get down at this temp, and I'm really excited about that. And I mean, people are really doing their research, and I feel like consumers are starting to get more conscientious on the carbon footprint and the problem it poses on the planet, and they're wanting to switch over and. I mean, that's been our experience quite often.
So that's so interesting. And you probably have heard, I'm sure all of you have, about the new federal tax credits that are available for heat pumps. And of course, we're in Massachusetts, so people are always talking about Mass Save.
And taxes.
And
Definitely taxes.
So do you think that's moving the market at all?
Absolutely.
You do?
Oh, this is the second year they've put out the $10,000 rebate, and I believe there's an additional rebate that applies to anyone who can financially qualify for that. There's also some tax breaks coming up for, I believe, single zone systems, which I will be pushing quite a bit. I'm going to try to redesign my systems a little bit differently, where I'm going to try to push the one-to-one systems because I feel that they are the most efficient, and I feel like as though they operate the best.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Bailey, you're pretty new to the industry. When you're working on or servicing equipment, how do you find servicing the Mitsubishi equipment?
I think it's very easy. I think Mitsubishi is one of my favorite units to service and troubleshoot with because it's very forward, you can call tech support following up with what Kelsey said, and they walk you through step by step. And you also have websites, you have resources that take you step by step through and get you to exactly pinpoint what is wrong if you can't figure it out. I think it's very convenient and beneficial for a lot of people, not just for service techs or installers, just for homeowners themselves too.
That's great. That's great. So I have to ask, recently in Massachusetts, we had one of the coldest days I remember in my lifetime. It was -12 degrees, and that's without the wind chill. and you all are dealing with HVAC. So how did that impact your business? And for those Mitsubishi customers, what kind of feedback did they give you about the systems in those conditions?
We checked in with a few of our customers. I wasn't here. I was away during the cold snap, but they seemed to do okay. A couple people had some struggles, but it's because they have some really leaky windows. They're not insulated well, so I think it's really important that you're insulated well and you lock your windows down, and that helps a lot. So other than that, we did not really get any phone calls at all.
I actually got pretty lucky this weekend too. I expected to have a ton of phone calls when we got back, and same thing. It wasn't as crazy. I had one city multi-system that struggled, but it wasn't struggling. It was for a nursing home, and they want their rooms to be 95 degrees. So that's a very different environment. Right. We can't have 300 rooms at 95 degrees. So I wouldn't necessarily call that a loss. Mm-hmm. And then I had a marijuana grow facility that lost both its boilers due to not enough gas pressure from the street. And that actually was not great, but luckily enough didn't fall on me. Still gave me a headache, but it didn't fall on me. Mm-hmm. So that's about it. Mm-hmm. Got lucky this time.
I definitely agree. We had a lot of rooftop calls. Yeah. A lot of no heat rooftop calls. We had to replace like blower motors and a lot of those, but not necessarily like Mitsubishi units. Yeah. Like it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. Design conditions like that conditions like that aren't in design. And, you could expect you're going to have, obviously we had some coils that go in bigger buildings, but we expected that. But yeah, things like motors, like even inducer fan motors, anything in the cold doesn't do well. Like even, I've got a Jeep Grand Cherokee and I drove it to Stowe, Vermont this weekend. And I was getting questionable about halfway up there. I was like, and I'm in the passenger seat, Googling how long does it take to die in cold weathers like this? Because I'm in the middle of nowhere right now. And, things don't do that well. You saw a lot of people this weekend where they, they put the cardboard in front of the truck trying to save some of that heat. And it's dangerous temperatures. Even, same thing, the person we had on call or the couple people we had on call for this weekend, kept in touch with them all weekend. And you want to make sure they're fine too, because if they're going to be outside for a long time, even if you have base layers on, you have the right equipment, it's still considered dangerous. For sure. And I noticed a lot of HVAC companies who I follow posted on their websites or social media sites all these hints that you guys were just going through. Make sure your windows are closed tight. Make sure. So that made a huge difference. That kind of communication.
Yeah, it's definitely important to do those first before anything. Even like knowing it's going to come, you might as well just do it as soon as you hear it.
Right.
Even just hints of I know someone who lost power on South Shore the day of that, which, at that point, leave all your sinks running. Get a hotel and come back. It's really, you can't stay in your house unless you have anything you can to heat your house with. So yeah, at that point you just hope, everyone put up those candles in the clay. I've never tried it. Now I want to try it, but there's not much you can do at that point. But even helpful hints like that on social media will hopefully get people by.
Super. I'm going to wrap up with a question about just general funny stories. Anyone have any funny stories about their work in HVAC that you'd like to share?
I had one last week. It was about a dog, but it was actually very funny. Me and my coworker, we walked into this house and we didn't think she had any pets because the house is completely clean. Like it didn't look like she had any pets. And she's talking to us and I feel someone touch my hand. I freaked out. I didn't know what it was. And I turn around and there's this very old, on the heavier side, golden retriever. And he's standing there with these grippy socks. Just sitting there looking at me. She was like, "Oh, that's Rupert. Yeah, he just has grippy socks so he won't fall." And I was like, "Oh," but it was so funny because as soon as she said that, he took his paw, slammed it on the ground, and just ripped the sock right off and just stared at me. And I tried so hard not to laugh, but it was the cutest thing I think I ever saw that day.
It's funny. Love that. Any other stories?
I'm still thinking. I'm trying to find an appropriate one.
Yeah,
I'm struggling over there. I'll take a skip for right now.
Fair enough. Okay, anything that we didn't talk about that you think would be great to bring up for women considering a career in this industry or just in general, advice to technicians who work in this industry?
I would say just because it's like a only male company, like you're walking into a company with all males. Because I personally walked into a company at 16 years old, and there was 20-something guys there, huge guys, and I was terrified. I was completely terrified. So I would say don't let that intimidate you, because the reason why I got into service was because I got told by my service manager, he was like, you cannot be afraid of me if you're going to be on my team. And I was like, okay, I won't. And now I'm here and I'm completely comfortable almost a year later with all the guys that work there. So I would say don't let masculinity or a certain amount of people or certain people's sizes intimidate you and like discourage you to do it.
That's such good advice. And anyone familiar with our industry knows there's barely any company that can find enough employees.
Yeah.
So if you're not considering women as employees, you are discounting half of the people in the world, right? So it's really important to consider this a great field for women.
And following up on what Bailey said with that is that if you are in a company that is not giving you the right resources to better yourself, or not respecting you, or is not making you feel comfortable about trying to, become a better technician, like especially, we all live in Massachusetts. There's, like you just said, there are so many companies, and there are so many companies that want to hire a girl. Like they need to hire a girl. Like there's requirements for this on a lot of job sites, and there's a lot of good companies in Massachusetts. There's a lot of buildings. There's a lot of business. Like you can go to anywhere else, and as long as you can make that step out, and you have that, unless you really want to spend the rest of your life being confrontational with every person at your job site, it's just not worth it. Just get up and leave. There's so many great, companies in the state that you can definitely flourish somewhere else.
That's awesome feedback. Alrighty. Well, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed talking to you all. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. We would love to hear from you. We can be reached at METUS Tech Show at hvac.mea.com. For information on training and other things, go to mitsubishicomfort.com. For technical information, visit mylinkdrive.com. If you want to know more about women in HVAC, visit womeninhvacr.org.